Hello everybody, my name is Alstrom, and a bit of an impromptu video today. I actually wasn't planning on uploading again so soon. I say so soon, like my last video wasn't like 4 months ago. I wasn't planning on uploading just now, but some things have happened, and I think it would be fitting to talk about. So that's why you're getting this video, in between my last video and my next one. In order to contextualize how I'm coming into the story, I kind of want to get into what is coming for the channel. I currently have 2 videos planned that I want to try and get done before the year ends. And one of those videos is going to be a My Sims related video. I'm not going to say what, but it's going to be related to My Sims. The other video that I'm working on that I think may come out before the My Sims video, based on the rate at which I'm going at it, is a Pokemon Platinum video. And really quickly, in Pokemon Platinum, there is a city called Canalave City. In that city is the Canalave Library. Now, in this library, because the Sinnoh region is very big on mythology and folklore and that kind of thing, this library allows you, the player, to read a bunch of folk stories around Pokemon. One of the folk stories that you can read in the library, you can read it right now if you have the copy of the game, you can go see it for yourself. One of the stories goes into detail about how there was a point in history where the species of Pokemon and humans were so similar and so close you could barely distinguish which was which. And that's in the game. And the reason why we have to make this video is because very recently, I think 5 days ago, as I'm recording this, or yeah, five days ago, there was a leak. The Pokemon Company is owned by 3 different parties, one of them being Nintendo, one being Creatures Inc., I think. If that's wrong, I'll be corrected down here. And the third being Game Freak. And Game Freak Game Freak just had a leak. And it is not good. Like almost a terabyte's worth of data. And amongst this data is, beta assets from different Pokemon games, documents pertaining to the planning of certain aspects of the anime, personal information about some of the staff, I think, from what I've seen. A lot of stuff got leaked. And amongst these leaks, the one thing that is getting the most attention is some of the leaked Canalave Library folk stories. And so the reason why I feel compelled to make this video is that, of course, as I'm working on a Gen 4 video, this leak happens that has material that is very heavily related to Gen 4, such that it would almost feel wrong of me to publish a video about Gen 4 without acknowledging it, because I am not acknowledging this in that video at all. So I figure, let me have this video act as like a warm-up. Almost. They're trending, mainstream media is picking up on this story now, and it looks so bad for Game Freak. And we, the fans, we don't know what to do with this knowledge now. We're burdened with it. We're gonna sit down together and we're gonna go through some of these folk stories, because holy shit, some of them are bad. I read one of them, and I haven't read the main one that everyone's really freaking out about, but apparently it's bad, so we'll see. We have Twitter pulled up right now. It's a little bit difficult to find a section of the internet that has everything related to the leaks in one neat place. The closest thing I have is this Twitter thread from Crownified. So I'm gonna link it in the description, assuming it doesn't get like borked off the internet by the time I get this video out. But just so you can see a little bit of what happened with the leak outside of the stories. Honestly, a lot of it's pretty interesting. You know, we get a lot of beta sprites. That one's crazy. For a lot of Pokemon. The Skuntic one's actually really cool. I think it's a little bit more flattering than the Platinum sprite. You know, like Riolu looks fucked up. But yeah, just a lot of beta sprites. Really interesting. Just very cool stuff. You know, I'm a fan of seeing like the different phases that these games go through. It's very interesting to see when the sprites are made, but like before the art style is really set in stone. It's just really interesting. And not just Gen 4, even though a lot of this stuff is like Gen 4. There's a lot of Gen 5 and a lot of Gen 6 stuff. There was also apparently some leaks pertaining to the upcoming game Pokemon Legends Z to A. But I've been avoiding... Sorry. Beta Shelmet. Why does he look like that? This is not what everyone's talking about, right? Everyone's talking about those folk stories. So we're gonna break those down, right? As I mentioned in the opening segment, I have actually read one of these stories already. This is the one that I read, but I figured it's worth going over it on camera because when the hell else am I gonna get to talk about it? In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day, they were bored, so they would often catch Slakoth living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slakoth, sometimes killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes or cutting off their ears. For context, this is what Slakoth looks like. So this is who they're doing this to. On one day, the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw a Slakoth hanging from a tree. The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her when it saw her. The woman lost consciousness. Before her lay a clear lake surrounded by trees from which many Slakoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slakoth hanging from the trees were corpses. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child. It was a Slakoth. Even though I know how the story ends, this is so crazy to read. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slakoth sleeping there. The child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slakoth, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slakoth, the woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slakoth's body and ran deep into the woods. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat Slakoth as companions, just as she had in her final moments. Yeah, no, not good. Not a good look, Game Freak. It's like a special kind of fucked up, you know? It's like, one, they're hunting and torturing and killing these Slakoth, and then just the visual of a slacking contextually this woman, and she births a fucking Slakoth. So like, holy shit, like humans can like give birth to Pokemon, and do you see why everyone's freaking out about this? Like, it's not like in the game, right? This was obviously not finalized and put into the game because it was obviously way too morbid, but like, this came from Game Freak. The same bunch of people that make Pokemon, they wrote that. And that's not even though, and this isn't even the one that everyone is freaking out about. Don't get me wrong, they are freaking out about this one, but this isn't even the main one. This story is the one that I had read before recording this. So the other two I haven't read. So let's get that on camera, right? Let's get my genuine reaction to that. So this is the next story. So let's see how this goes. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day he was walking along the shore. He found a female Octillery washed up on the beach. The man had relations with the Octillery and then threw it back into the sea. The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same Octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. For context, this is what Octillery looks like. Oh my god, that's so bad. That is so bad. Of all the fucking Pokemon, you choose that one. You choose the Birdo of the Pokemon world for that shit. Really? Really? Thank God they didn't put that in the game. Are you kidding me? Holy crap. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the Octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. No. What is with these humans and birthing these Pokemon? Excuse me. I'm dying. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the Octillery. There, he found a boy. Just a human boy. No. Bad Twitter. Bad. That's a bad Twitter. No. Okay, so my thoughts on this story, right? I'm not too sure. So again, right, a lot of these stories are like beta, and so I feel like we aren't reading what would be final versions of them. Another thing to bear in mind is that obviously Game Freak is a Japanese company. All of these were in Japanese, and what we're reading is a translation of it, and things can get lost in translation if no one's checking their shit. Maybe that's why this story doesn't feel as like cohesive. But what did the Octillery have to do with it? Like, was this like opening part here, was this really necessary? Do we need this part of this man fucking an Octillery? Do we need that? I don't think we needed that. I don't think that had any impact on the story at all. I think that just happened. It's so... Why? It's not even like a third of the story, but like that's all I'm thinking about is why this man just sees an Octillery and is like, smash. Fuck, man. Yo, people already think I'm fucking weird for liking Pokemon, and this is not helping. It's like people already assume that Pokemon fans are degenerates. We didn't need confirmation that the game was being made by degenerates. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a good look for us, guys. We're flopping. By the way, the relations were outright sexual. No hiding it. Same for an Ursaring being a dude's wife. What the fuck? Huh? Here's another story. Apparently, this one's about like Arceus and stuff. Let me see what it said. At a time when the world had no clear form, when the boundaries between gods, humans, and Pokemon were ambiguous, the absolute god, Arceus, created a giant, a manifestation of his chaotic power for the ultimate creation of the world. There was a man. One day, a wounded woman collapsed in the land where he lived. The man took her home and cared for her tenderly. After a while, she gave birth to twins. Then, the woman transformed into a divine figure and began to speak. I am the god known as Arceus. Bitch, what? After finishing her tale, Arceus vanished before the man. The man named the twins. The two words he felt when he saw Arceus' true form: time and light. Huh? So God made himself a woman and fucked some guy. What is with these stories? What is with these stories? I mean, to be fair, if you know they're trying to like create their own god and like, you know, lore, doesn't that feel like some type of shit? Like that feels like some Old Testament kind of shit, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for the other stories existing, I would be like, okay, yeah, you know, they were trying it and then they decided, nah, too much, whatever. I mean, with the Octillery thing existing, it's like, come on, we can't really just ignore that. But okay, that one wasn't too bad. But oh, dear friends, that is not the end of it. I almost don't want to fucking read it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to read this. This is necessary. This is required reading here. A long time ago, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was unclear. Once upon a time, there was a village. One day, a girl from the village went to the mountains to collect firewood. The man's face was unlike any other man in the village, but he was very handsome. The man said, "You must be lost. I know the way down the mountain. I'll bring you back tomorrow morning, so why don't you stay and rest at my place tonight?" The next day, the two of them woke up as the sun was setting. The man went to gather the nuts, and the two of them ate them and went back to sleep. As life continued like this, the girl eventually realized that the man was, and then that's Typhlosion. Now for context, this is what Typhlosion looks like. One day, the girl woke up to find a child in her arm. What is with these fucking stories and the kids and the children? What is with this? Why is this such a recurring theme? Your father is looking for you, but you're my wife, and I can't give you back. I have to fight him. That is quite the turn of events. The girl said, "Please stop. Please don't kill my father. How can I live with you after killing my family? You're a good person, so let's stay here and sleep." "Okay, I'll sleep here." The man nodded. Why do we keep, we know he's a Typhlosion already. Why do we keep addressing him as a man? That's a Typhlosion. That's not a man. The girl built a fire at the place where Typhlosion had been killed and poured her eyes, heart, and voice into the flames. And while I was singing out, I sang the song I learned from Typhlosion. Okay, so that was that story. What the fuck? What the hell is this? What the hell? Who drew this? Guys, we already look bad. Don't make us look worse. Actually, you know what? This meme perfectly sums it up. Cool cut content beta sprites, behind the scenes info. Finding out the Pokemon devs are gooners and furries. And I liked Hisuian Typhlosion, but like he does look like he's fucking up to something, doesn't he? I just wanted Megas back. The fuck is all of this? No, dead ass Game Freak. Not sure why people are surprised. Yo, these guys are funny as fuck. Typhlosion, what the fuck? That's how the family of this motherfucker was made. Fascinating. Typhlosion would never. Yes, Lorantis, tell them. Anyway, okay, Guys, please, we look bad right now. This does not help. Who drew this? Okay, so let's try and come to some sort of conclusion about this, shall we? I think it's important while we, discuss these stories and how crazy they are. I think it's important to, reinforce that the staff behind these stories don't deserve any crazy internet level hostility, because we know how the internet overreacts to things. I don't think anyone should be getting harassed over this, so if you're engaging in that, stop it. We have these stories now. We have read these stories, we have processed them, and they are now forever a part of our psyche, and they will forever color the way we interact with this franchise from now on. I can see why this would ruin a lot of things for a lot of people. Truthfully though, the Typhlosion story seems the most tame. I think the reason why that's the one that's getting a lot of attention is just because Typhlosion is a much more popular Pokemon than Slaking or Octillery. To me, I think the worst one may have been the Octillery thing, because not only was that kind of shocking, but it was like shocking without a point. As brutal as the Slaking story was, at least there was like a moral, or like that story felt the most fleshed out of these 3 or 4. The Arceus one is pretty small, but again, I think those two, yeah, the Arceus one's not that bad. The Arceus one kind of feels like typical God Old Testament fare. It's very on brand with that. They definitely nailed the styles that these stories are trying to like play into, being old folklore stories or, you know, biblical tales and shit like that. Someone pointed out in a tweet that the problem with the Typhlosion story is that somebody used AI to translate it, which means the translation is very not good. And that kind of makes sense because, right, like didn't that story seem like really weird to read? Definitely going to push forward with, you know, the video that I have planned with Platinum. Hopefully next time you see me, it'll be for a proper video with some proper editing and proper presentation. I'm gonna say, if you want to get a more deeper dive into these leaks, TyranitarTube is doing a bunch of videos on it, and he's gonna go in depth with it, so, you know, go check that out. We as the public were never meant to read these stories or even take in this content, and I think it's important to remember that, you know, they didn't, you know, it's not like they published these stories and are acting all oblivious as to why we're all freaking out. They understood that these stories were kind of a bit much, hence why they didn't release them. And now we have read them, and now we have to deal with that. So, you know, I would hate to be Game Freak right now, but in any case, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit a like. If you didn't like it, dislike it. Subscribe for more. And yeah, that's about it. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next video. Could I be born?